Sarah's hands gripped the F-22's controls as she raced back toward Alaska with 6 unknown aircraft maintaining perfect formation around her Raptor. Every instinct told her to engage defensive systems, but her orders were clear: observe, record, and return with intelligence data. The mysterious jets seemed content to escort her rather than attack, but their presence felt like a constant threat that could turn deadly at any moment. As they approached American airspace, Sarah's radio crackled with an emergency transmission from Elmendorf Air Force Base. Multiple radar sites had detected a massive aerial formation approaching from the west, with over 50 unknown aircraft converging on the Alaska coast. The situation had exploded beyond a simple reconnaissance encounter into what appeared to be a coordinated invasion by forces using technology that defied every assumption about modern aerial warfare. General Harrison's voice came through on the secure command frequency, his tone reflecting the gravity of the unprecedented situation unfolding across the North Pacific. All available F-22 squadrons were being scrambled from bases throughout Alaska and the continental United States. Sarah's encounter had triggered the largest military response since World War II, with hundreds of American fighters preparing to defend against adversaries whose capabilities remained completely unknown. The 6 aircraft escorting Sarah suddenly peeled away as they crossed into American territorial waters, vanishing from her radar screen as completely as if they had never existed. Their departure was precisely timed and coordinated, suggesting they had accomplished whatever mission they had been assigned. Sarah found herself alone in her cockpit, carrying crucial intelligence data about the most advanced aircraft she had ever encountered. Landing at Elmendorf, Sarah was immediately escorted to a secure debriefing facility where teams of intelligence analysts waited to extract every detail about her encounter. The information she had gathered during those terrifying minutes over the Pacific would be studied by experts from across the military and scientific communities as they tried to understand technology that appeared to be decades ahead of anything in American development programs. During the debriefing, Sarah learned the full scope of what had transpired while she was in the air. The massive formation of unknown aircraft had approached American airspace from multiple directions, demonstrating coordination across thousands of miles of ocean. But, just as suddenly as they had appeared, all the mysterious jets had vanished simultaneously, leaving no trace on any radar system and no physical evidence of their presence. The military response had been overwhelming. Over 200 F-22 Raptors, F-35 Lightning IIs, and F-16 Fighting Falcons had been launched from bases across North America, creating the largest aerial defensive formation in peacetime history. But they had found empty skies, with no targets to intercept and no adversaries to engage. The unknown aircraft had achieved complete surprise and then disappeared without engaging in any hostile actions. Intelligence analysts were baffled by the data Sarah had collected during her encounter. The flight characteristics she had recorded suggested the mysterious aircraft were using propulsion systems that violated known principles of physics. Their ability to accelerate, climb, and maneuver exceeded anything thought possible for manned aircraft, yet they had clearly carried human pilots who demonstrated tactical awareness and decision-making skills. As news of the incident spread through classified military channels, Sarah found herself at the center of intense attention from senior commanders and government officials. Her detailed observations and sensor recordings were the most comprehensive intelligence data available about the unknown aircraft. But the information raised more questions than it answered, challenging fundamental assumptions about the limits of aerospace technology. 3 days after her encounter, Sarah was summoned to a classified briefing attended by officials she had only seen in photographs. The Secretary of Defense, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and directors from multiple intelligence agencies had come to Alaska to personally review the evidence and plan America's response to this unprecedented technological challenge. The briefing revealed information that shocked even Sarah, despite everything she had experienced during her aerial encounter. Intelligence sources had confirmed that the mysterious aircraft were not of foreign origin as initially suspected. Instead, they represented a classified American military program so secret that even most senior Pentagon officials had no knowledge of its existence. Project Aurora had been in development for over 20 years, utilizing revolutionary propulsion technology based on principles that the public scientific community wouldn't discover for another generation. The program had remained completely compartmentalized, with development conducted at facilities so classified that they didn't appear on any official government records. Only a handful of people in the entire world knew that America possessed aircraft with capabilities that exceeded science fiction. Sarah listened in stunned silence as the project directors explained that her squadron had unknowingly participated in the most comprehensive test of the Aurora aircraft's stealth and combat systems ever conducted. The mysterious jets had been piloted by test pilots whose identities were classified above top secret, and whose very existence was known only to the highest levels of government and military command. The test had been designed to evaluate whether traditional F-22 squadrons could detect and engage the Aurora aircraft under combat conditions. Sarah's encounter had provided crucial data about the effectiveness of the revolutionary stealth systems and confirmed that the new technology could operate successfully against America's most advanced conventional fighters. But the briefing also revealed a disturbing security breach that had complicated the test mission. Foreign intelligence services had somehow learned about the scheduled Aurora flights and had positioned surveillance assets throughout the Pacific region to observe the operations. The massive military response had been triggered not by hostile aircraft, but by the urgent need to prevent foreign powers from gathering intelligence about America's most classified aerospace program. Sarah realized that her reputation as a pilot who flew routine training missions in older aircraft had made her the perfect candidate for this unintentional test scenario. The Aurora project directors had needed to evaluate their aircraft against pilots who had no knowledge of the program's existence, ensuring that the test results would reflect real-world combat conditions rather than artificial training scenarios. The implications of what she had learned were staggering. America possessed aerial technology that could revolutionize warfare and provide decisive military advantages for generations to come. But the program's security had been compromised, forcing difficult decisions about how to protect these capabilities while maintaining their strategic value. In the weeks following the briefing, Sarah found herself transferred to a new assignment that officially didn't exist. She joined the Aurora test program as one of the first operational pilots selected to fly the revolutionary aircraft. Her experience with the F-22 and her proven ability to maintain operational security under pressure made her an ideal candidate for the most classified flying program in American history. Learning to fly the Aurora aircraft challenged everything Sarah thought she knew about aviation. The propulsion systems operated on principles that seemed to defy gravity itself, allowing the aircraft to perform maneuvers that would have been impossible in conventional jets. The flight controls required completely new techniques and training methods that had been developed in complete secrecy over 2 decades of classified research. Training on the Aurora revealed the true scope of American technological advancement in classified programs. The aircraft incorporated materials, electronics, and design concepts that were decades ahead of anything available to the general public or even to conventional military programs. Flying the Aurora was like traveling into the future of aerospace technology. As Sarah mastered the revolutionary aircraft, she began to understand the enormous responsibility that came with access to such advanced capabilities. The Aurora program represented America's insurance policy against future threats that might emerge from other nations' military development programs. The technology gap created by these classified aircraft could determine the outcome of conflicts that might not occur for many years. Her role in the program required maintaining an even deeper level of secrecy than her previous F-22 operations. Sarah's official military records continued to show routine training flights and conventional aircraft assignments, while she actually spent her days pushing the boundaries of human flight capability in machines that redefined what was possible in the sky. The Aurora program also revealed the incredible dedication and sacrifice of thousands of engineers, scientists, and support personnel who had spent their careers developing revolutionary technology in complete anonymity. Their work would never be publicly recognized, but it had created capabilities that ensured America's continued military superiority in an increasingly dangerous world. 6 months after her initial encounter with the mysterious aircraft, Sarah received notification that she had been selected for command of an operational Aurora squadron. The unit would be responsible for missions that couldn't be accomplished by any other aircraft in the world, operating in complete secrecy while protecting American interests in situations that conventional forces couldn't handle. Standing in the hangar where her new Aurora aircraft waited, Sarah reflected on the unexpected path her career had taken. She had entered the military dreaming of flying advanced fighter jets, but she had ended up piloting technology that exceeded her wildest imagination. The young woman who had grown up in Oregon flying with her father had become one of the most capable pilots in the world, even though almost no one would ever know about her achievements. Her story would remain classified for decades, but Sarah knew that her work was contributing to something larger than personal recognition. The Aurora program represented humanity's push toward the future of flight, developed in secrecy, but destined to protect freedom for generations to come. In her hands was technology that could change the world, hidden in plain sight, while keeping the skies safe for democracy and peace. #Into the unknown sky. The flight to Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska took Sarah and her squadron across some of the most beautiful and dangerous airspace in North America. Flying at altitude in the F-22 Raptor, she could see the Rocky Mountains stretching endlessly below, their snow-covered peaks creating a stunning landscape that few people ever witnessed from such a perspective. But the beauty couldn't distract her from the serious nature of their deployment. Elmendorf had been chosen as their forward operating base because of its strategic location and its ability to support F-22 operations without drawing attention from foreign intelligence services. The base had experience hosting classified missions, and its personnel were trained in the strict security protocols required for stealth fighter operations. When Sarah's squadron landed, they were immediately directed to a secured section of the airfield where their aircraft could be maintained away from curious eyes. The briefings at Elmendorf revealed the full scope of the challenge they faced. The mysterious aircraft had been detected on multiple occasions over the past week, operating in patterns that suggested they were conducting systematic surveillance of American and Allied military installations throughout the Pacific region. Each time traditional fighter aircraft had been scrambled to investigate, the unknown jets had vanished from radar before visual contact could be established. Colonel Davis, the mission commander, explained that intelligence analysts believed they were dealing with a new type of stealth technology that was more advanced than anything in the current American inventory. The aircraft appeared to be capable of switching between visible and invisible modes on radar systems, suggesting either sophisticated electronic countermeasures or revolutionary aircraft design principles that challenged everything the military knew about aerial warfare. Sarah studied the radar tracks and flight pattern data with growing concern. The unknown aircraft were operating with a level of coordination and tactical awareness that indicated highly trained pilots and advanced command systems. Their flight paths suggested they had detailed knowledge of American defensive positions and radar coverage, information that should have been impossible for foreign forces to obtain through conventional reconnaissance. The first intercept mission was scheduled for the following morning, when intelligence sources predicted the mysterious aircraft would again appear over international waters near the Aleutian Islands. Sarah's squadron would fly patrol patterns designed to maximize their chances of making contact while maintaining the element of surprise that the F-22's stealth capabilities provided. That evening, Sarah called her father using the base's secure communication system. She couldn't tell him about the real mission, but she wanted to hear his voice before potentially flying into combat against unknown adversaries. Her father had flown dangerous missions during his Navy career, and she drew strength from his calm advice about staying focused and trusting her training when facing uncertainty in the cockpit. The conversation reminded Sarah of her childhood dreams of becoming a pilot. She had grown up hearing stories about aerial combat and the split-second decisions that determined victory or defeat in the sky. Her father had taught her that the best pilots were those who remained calm under pressure and never underestimated their opponents, lessons that seemed especially relevant as she prepared for her most challenging mission. At 0430 hours, Sarah and 5 other F-22 pilots began their pre-flight preparations for the first intercept mission. The aircraft had been equipped with additional sensor packages and recording equipment to document any encounters with the unknown jets. The mission plan called for the Raptors to patrol in widely separated formations, creating a detection net that would be difficult for the mysterious aircraft to avoid entirely. The weather over the North Pacific was challenging, with low clouds and gusty winds that tested Sarah's flying skills as she maneuvered her F-22 toward the patrol area. The aircraft's fly-by-wire control systems helped maintain stability in the turbulent conditions, but she had to remain constantly alert for sudden changes in wind direction and visibility that could affect her ability to spot targets. 2 hours into the patrol, Sarah's radar system detected multiple contacts approaching from the northwest at high speed. The signals appeared and disappeared intermittently, confirming the intelligence reports about the unknown aircraft's stealth capabilities. She immediately radioed the contact information to her squadron leader while adjusting her flight path to intercept the mysterious jets. As Sarah closed the distance to the radar contacts, she activated her F-22's advanced sensor systems to gather as much information as possible about the approaching aircraft. The data she collected would be crucial for intelligence analysts trying to understand the technology and capabilities of the unknown jets. Every detail about their flight patterns, radar signatures, and performance characteristics could provide vital clues about their origin and intentions. Suddenly, Sarah's radar screen lit up with 6 distinct aircraft signatures flying in a tight formation directly toward her position. The jets were moving at speeds that pushed the boundaries of what she thought was possible for manned aircraft, and their flight path suggested they had somehow detected her F-22 despite its stealth technology. The situation was rapidly becoming more dangerous than anyone had anticipated. Sarah tried to establish radio contact with the unknown aircraft using standard international frequencies, but received no response to her identification requests. The mysterious jets continued their approach without altering course or acknowledging her presence, creating a tense standoff at 35,000 feet above the frigid North Pacific waters. The lead aircraft in the unknown formation suddenly accelerated beyond anything Sarah had ever witnessed, closing the distance between them in seconds rather than minutes. Her F-22's threat warning systems activated as the jet locked onto her position with what appeared to be an advanced targeting system. Sarah found herself in immediate danger from an adversary whose capabilities exceeded her worst fears. Training took over as Sarah executed evasive maneuvers designed to break the targeting lock and create distance between her aircraft and the unknown threat. The F-22 responded instantly to her control inputs, diving and climbing through complex flight patterns that would have been impossible in older fighter aircraft. But the mysterious jet stayed with her through every maneuver, demonstrating flight characteristics that defied conventional understanding of aerodynamics. Sarah radioed for immediate backup while continuing her evasive actions, but she knew that her squadron colleagues were too far away to provide immediate assistance. She was alone in the sky with 6 unknown aircraft that possessed technology superior to anything in the American military inventory. The situation had evolved from a surveillance mission into a potential life-or-death encounter with adversaries of unknown origin and intent. The mysterious aircraft suddenly changed their formation, spreading out to surround Sarah's F-22 from multiple directions. Their coordinated movements suggested they were operating under centralized command with real-time communication systems that allowed instant tactical adjustments. Sarah realized she was facing not just advanced technology, but also highly sophisticated military tactics that indicated extensive training and preparation. As the unknown jets closed in from all sides, Sarah made a desperate decision to use her F-22's superior climb rate to escape the encirclement. She pulled the aircraft into a near-vertical climb while activating emergency afterburners, pushing the Raptor's engines to their maximum performance limits. The G-forces pressed her back into her seat as the aircraft accelerated upward through the thin air at high altitude. But the mysterious aircraft followed her climb effortlessly, maintaining their formation despite the extreme altitude and flight conditions. Sarah watched in amazement and growing alarm as the jets demonstrated capabilities that suggested they were using propulsion technology far beyond conventional jet engines. Their ability to match her F-22's performance at extreme altitude indicated they possessed revolutionary advances in aerospace engineering. At that moment, Sarah received an urgent radio transmission from her squadron commander ordering all F-22s to immediately withdraw from the patrol area. Intelligence sources had detected a massive formation of unknown aircraft approaching from multiple directions, suggesting the 6 jets she had encountered were only the advance elements of a much larger force. The mission had escalated beyond anything the military had planned for, and higher command authorities were taking direct control of the situation. Sarah began her withdrawal as ordered, but the mysterious aircraft continued to shadow her F-22 as she turned toward the Alaska coastline. Their persistent presence suggested they were either studying American stealth technology or preparing for some type of aggressive action that could trigger an international incident. The tension in her cockpit was almost unbearable as she flew towards safety while being tracked by adversaries of unknown capabilities and intentions. The Silent Guardian Captain Sarah Chun had been flying combat missions for 8 years, but nobody at Nellis Air Force Base knew her real story. Every morning at 0500 hours, she walked through the same corridors as her male colleagues, carrying the same flight gear, attending the same briefings. The difference was that while most pilots talked about their aircraft assignments openly, Sarah kept her mouth shut about what she really flew. The F-22 Raptor program was still highly classified in many aspects. Even within the Air Force, only certain personnel knew which pilots were cleared for the advanced stealth fighter operations. Sarah was one of only 12 women certified to fly the most expensive and sophisticated fighter jet ever built by the United States military. But in the casual conversations at the officers' club, during training exercises, and even in official meetings, she let people assume she flew F-16s or F-15s like most of the other pilots at the base. Her cover story was perfect. Sarah had indeed flown F-16s for 3 years before her secret transition to the F-22 program. When fellow pilots asked about her missions, she would talk about her earlier experiences with the Fighting Falcon, sharing stories that were true but outdated. She had mastered the art of deflecting questions about her current assignments with vague references to routine training flights and classified exercises. The secrecy wasn't just military protocol. Sarah had learned early in her career that being underestimated could be an advantage. Growing up in a small town in Oregon, she had been the only girl in her high school aviation club. Her father, a retired Navy pilot, had taught her to fly before she could drive a car legally. But even he didn't know that his daughter now commanded one of the most powerful weapon systems in the sky. At Nellis, Sarah had carefully cultivated an image of competence without drawing attention to herself. She was known as a solid pilot who always completed her missions successfully, but she never boasted about her achievements. Her fellow officers respected her abilities, but they had no idea of the true scope of her training and capabilities. She had completed advanced air-to-air combat training, electronic warfare courses, and stealth technology operations that most pilots would never even hear about. The base was buzzing with tension that particular week in November. Intelligence reports indicated unusual aircraft movements over the Pacific, and several nations were conducting joint military exercises that had the Pentagon on high alert. Sarah attended the daily briefings like everyone else, listening to discussions about potential threats and defensive strategies. The commanding officers spoke about the need for rapid response capabilities and the importance of maintaining air superiority in any conflict scenario. During one such briefing, Colonel Martinez outlined a concerning development. Radar stations had detected unidentified aircraft operating near international boundaries, and there were reports of aggressive flight patterns that suggested possible reconnaissance missions by foreign powers. The room filled with murmurs as pilots discussed the implications and wondered which squadrons might be called upon to respond. Sarah listened quietly, knowing that she and her F-22 squadron were likely already on standby for exactly this type of situation. The Raptor's stealth capabilities and advanced radar systems made it the ideal aircraft for intercepting and identifying unknown threats without revealing American defensive positions. But she couldn't share this knowledge with her colleagues, who continued to speculate about which aircraft would be most suitable for such delicate operations. That evening, as Sarah walked to her quarters, she received a coded message on her secure communication device. The message was brief but clear. Report to Hangar 18 at 0300 hours for special assignment briefing. She had received similar messages before, but something about the timing and urgency suggested this was different from routine training exercises. Hangar 18 was located in a restricted section of the base that required special clearance to access. Sarah had been there many times over the past 2 years, but always under cover of darkness and always with strict instructions about maintaining operational security. The hangar housed the F-22 Raptors assigned to her squadron, along with specialized maintenance equipment and classified technical systems that most base personnel never saw. At the 0300 briefing, Sarah joined 11 other pilots in a secure conference room adjacent to the hangar. Major Thompson, their squadron commander, stood before a large display screen showing satellite imagery and radar tracking data. His expression was more serious than usual as he began the briefing with an unusual warning about the classified nature of their upcoming mission. The intelligence was troubling. 6 aircraft of unknown origin had been detected operating in coordinated patterns over international waters, displaying flight characteristics that suggested advanced military capabilities. Traditional interceptor aircraft had been unable to maintain visual contact with the mysterious jets, which seemed capable of disappearing from radar detection at will. The situation required the unique capabilities that only the F-22 could provide. Major Thompson explained that their squadron had been selected for an immediate deployment to a forward operating base in Alaska. From there, they would conduct surveillance and potential intercept missions against the unidentified aircraft. The mission parameters were unlike anything Sarah had trained for in peacetime exercises. These would be real-world encounters with potentially hostile forces using technology that American intelligence agencies didn't fully understand. The briefing continued with detailed tactical information about the suspected aircraft capabilities, potential engagement rules, and communication protocols for the mission. Sarah absorbed every detail while maintaining the same calm demeanor she had perfected over years of classified operations. Around her, the other pilots asked technical questions and discussed strategy with the confidence that came from knowing they flew the most advanced fighter aircraft in the world. As the briefing concluded, Major Thompson emphasized the critical importance of maintaining operational security throughout the deployment. Their families, friends, and colleagues at Nellis would be told only that they were participating in routine training exercises in Alaska. The true nature of their mission would remain classified at the highest levels, known only to a select few military leaders and government officials. Sarah returned to her quarters with a mixture of anticipation and concern. The mission represented the kind of challenge she had trained for throughout her career, but it also carried risks that extended far beyond personal safety. The pilots would be operating at the edge of international incidents, where a single mistake could escalate into broader conflicts between nations. She spent the remaining hours before dawn reviewing technical manuals and mission protocols, preparing her mind for the complexities of flying combat operations in the F-22. The aircraft systems were incredibly sophisticated, requiring pilots to process vast amounts of information while making split-second decisions that could determine the outcome of aerial encounters. At sunrise, Sarah joined her squadron for final preparations before departure. They would be flying their F-22s directly to Alaska, a journey that would test both their aircraft and their skills across thousands of miles of challenging terrain and changing weather conditions. The Raptors were equipped with additional fuel tanks and specialized equipment for the extended deployment. As Sarah performed her pre-flight inspection, she thought about the irony of her situation. Her colleagues at Nellis still believed she flew training missions in older aircraft, while she was actually preparing to take one of America's most advanced weapons systems into potential combat against unknown adversaries. The weight of responsibility was enormous, but she felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead.